Welcome to the Holistic Workshop Academy's free teleseminar series. The Holistic Workshop Academy helps you increase your income and promote personal growth while boosting your ability to make a substantial difference in the world. Tonight's topic is Grow Your Business with Intention. We'll be sharing authentic ways to make a name for yourself and learn how to mindfully turn prospects into paying clients. Our guest tonight is CindyBartz. Cindy studied supervisory management from Madison Area Technical College and holds a Bachelor of Science degree in education from the University of Wisconsin. She's been in training and education for over 30 years, designing and developing hundreds of training programs and training thousands of people across the globe, including clients such as Shell Oil, J.P. Morgan Chase, IBM, and Bank of America. She's considered the trainer's trainer and is a master at assessing the client's needs and developing programs rich in content. She is currently co-owner and director at Evolve, a holistic health and wellness center located in Clearwater, Florida. She is a level 3 Qigong Tai Chi instructor and earned her 200-hour yoga certification from the Amrit Yoga Institute. She lives in Tarpon Springs, Florida, and I am just thrilled to have her here with me tonight. Hi, welcome, Cindy.
Thank you. It's a pleasure being here.
You are one of the featured speakers in our upcoming program, Turn Your Wisdom into Workshops, and will be helping our participants in the program design their own educational content. Would you share a little more about this and how it can help holistic practitioners in their business?
Yeah, so I'll answer that question by asking a question. Why are people in business? The answer is to solve a problem. If you are hungry, you have a problem. You need to eat. So you would go to the grocery store or you go to a restaurant. Every business is in existence to resolve a problem. I recommend as you begin to design your workshop, think about what problem you are trying to solve for your potential clients. Each person attending your workshop will be asking, what's in it for me? So when you design your workshop, think and answer this type of question.
Thank you. So you've developed many educational programs, and so glad to have your expertise as part of our program. What different types of programs have you offered? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, so I began developing and teaching workshops over 30 years ago. And this was before technology had really taken off. So when I started out, it was always classroom or face-to-face training. In the early 90s, I became very much involved in the technology field, which then led to designing, developing, and implementing what is considered computer-based training. You might have heard of it called CBTs. And at that time, these were self-paced training modules that people could purchase on CDs and then learn at their own pace. Eventually, once the Internet took off, I started developing web-based training, and some of this was self-study, and then others were online live webinars. As far as types of content, I started out teaching in the private sector and created many programs in technical training, such as WordPerfect and Windows and DOS and those types of curriculums. For the past 10 years, I've been creating several workshops in personal development, leadership, as well as workshops in Tai Chi, yoga, meditation, breathwork, and Qigong. Nowadays, we have so many choices when designing workshops. One thing I recommend you keep in mind is that not all delivery types work for all subject matter. Part of the design process is really to determine what type or types of delivery will work best for the topic you will be presenting.
So keeping that in mind, and also, my background in training and development, I know adults learn differently than, say, teaching children. So what can you share with our callers are some principles to keep in mind when teaching adults?
So I actually started out as a middle school band teacher, and after about a year of teaching, I decided teaching children wasn't really for me. I had a teaching background, and then I went back to school for technology and moved into a job teaching adults on computer systems. There is a very big difference between teaching adults versus children. I will never forget the first time I was teaching an adult class and two women started talking to one another instead of listening to what I had to say. In a children's classroom, this is really a no-brainer. You would probably go ahead and reprimand the children, but of course you can't do this with adults. So how do you get adults back on track? A couple of solutions would be, in a classroom setting, you can continue talking and actually start just walking in their general direction as you look at them. This usually wakes them up. For online and for face-to-face training, a technique you can use is to ask a question specifically to one of the students. Not necessarily even one of the students that's talking. Simply asking a question to anyone in your classroom gets the message across, oh, I better be listening as I might get called on. Adults need interaction just as much as children. Keep your students busy. So as you design and you develop your workshop, make sure that you have activities and ways to engage your students.
Yes, I remember being in many different meetings and facilitating meetings, maybe not necessarily instructional, but where people were supposed to be paying attention. And sometimes if you start the meeting off with, here's the rules of the meeting or the etiquette for the meeting, you can at least point to it or speak to it. It doesn't always keep people from talking, but it is disruptive when people do that. They didn't get the lesson when they were kids, I guess. So, Cindy, can you share some best practices for designing an educational offering that would attract more clients?
Well, I guess a few best practices. One would be, as I mentioned earlier, resolve a problem. Answer that question, what's in it for me? And then gear your marketing materials around this question. And then when I start to design a workshop, I answer the question, when a student leaves my workshop, what should they be able to do, or what should they be able to communicate to others about what they learned? If you can really answer these types of questions, your workshop will be of value and you will have a happy client.
Great concept, and we're definitely going to be working with this concept in the Turn Your Wisdom into Workshops program. It's going to be very objective-based. So identifying what are your goals, what are your objectives, what problems are you trying to solve, and then designing the course towards those objectives. So that's great advice. So what 3 steps then, Cindy, would you recommend to holistic practitioners to get started in creating their own educational offering?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question, and I will actually be discussing this in depth at the inaugural program that you've put together for us. But in a nutshell, the first step you will need to do is an assessment or an analysis, which is some type of survey that you'll want to do. And then the second step is actually the design process. The third step would then be the development. The way that I remember this is the word add, A-D-D. You've got your assessment, and then you've got your design, and then you've got your development. You might be thinking that design and development are really the same thing, but they're really not. Think of when you build a house. The architect will design or create a design, the plan, which is on paper. And then once this is finalized, the development would start, which is the actual building. And the same occurs when you're creating your workshop. You'll want to have a design first before you go ahead and start the actual development of building your course.
So having a plan, and so Cindy, you will be sharing that in our second week of our program, and prior to that, that piece that you spoke about in assessing, we'll have Robin Lavich introducing those concepts. So we're going in order in our program. Can you share a success story of how your educational offering helped you attract clients?
Sure. Several years ago, it was in the early 90s, I'm kind of dating myself here, been around a while. I worked as a training manager in the petroleum industry, and my job at the time was to train gas station managers and owners on their cash register system. And if you were around in the 90s and maybe in the workforce, you probably remember that starting out, people just would not really purchase training, and it was really because they didn't really see a value in it. And so when we started our program at this company that I work for, what we did is instead of selling the training separately, we sold the training in conjunction with the equipment, and we put a value on that training. And at the time, it was $495, so about $500 for the training. It was a 3-day session, and we actually would go out to the store, so it was personalized for that store. And so I'd go out to the store, and I'd literally assist the owner and the manager in programming their cash register. And in my training, one of the things that I would always do is I would let them know that if they set up and program their cash register in a specific way, it could save them money. And so they started equating saving this money with, oh, there's a value to this training. There's actually a benefit for me. And sometimes, too, I would explain, like, if they set something up, how that would track certain items that were being sold, and that way they could eliminate some inventory and help them with forecasting and purchasing unnecessary items. So I started doing this, and then also what I always had my students do is fill out an evaluation after the training. And I did this approach for about 6 months, and then after that I had gathered all of these nice testimonials of what the training meant to them and the value that it gave to them. And it also helped because with those evaluations, I had the opportunity to refine my training program in the workshops. And so after about 6 months, then I had enough information that what I started doing at that point was marketing in 3 different states. And I would just do these half-page little flyers. And there was a sense of urgency, and I would always have some testimonials in there as well. And every time I had those flyers go out, literally within 1 week, my workshops would sell out every single time. So the moral of this story is that your potential clients really need to understand the value of a program. They're not necessarily buying the workshop unless there's that value that's added, and they can really see that. And what you had said earlier about objective-based training, that really serves as a good model for that, because in your objectives, you will be able to then communicate to your potential clients the value that they're going to get out of the training.
And that's where, when we speak about planning the design and doing the needs assessment and evaluating, all of these things, that's where the intention comes in when we mention, our topic being grow your business with intention. Determining ahead of time what are the goals, what what is the problem I'm trying to solve, and then your intention is to meet those goals and to solve that problem. And using an educational offering, however you do it, you could offer a free workshop or class, or you can charge money for it. Either way, you're giving more value to potential clients. You're going to build trust with them, build a relationship. They're going to see you as an expert. Many, many different benefits to you as the instructor, teacher, trainer, whatever title you put on it, to developing your knowledge and experience into an educational class or workshop. So as we're beginning to wind down the call, I wanted to share that, first of all, again, how thrilled I am to have you as a part of this. So over 30 years of experience in doing this, I can't wait. I know I am, leading the group, leading the program, but I know I'm going to also be a student and learn lots of things. I wanted to take a moment